Thank you for joining us for our third episode of Ekoji. I'm your host, Molly, and today we're joined by guest Jane. Jane has held a multitude of leadership positions here at the temple as well as at the regional and national level. She is our past president and a current trustee. And today she is joining us to share her personal experiences of Buddhism. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So let's start with, how did you find Ekoji? How did you come to be part of this family?
That's funny because I live down the road near Clifton and I passed by this. My mother lived in Burke, up and down this road, 20 years before I knew it was even here. And the only reason I found it was because my brother had found it before I did, the year before. Didn't tell me. He became a Buddhist, and he was being inducted onto the board. So he said, would you come to the service? And I said, sure. Actually, he invited me to another service, and I went to the Sikh temple on 123 because he didn't give me the right directions or, anyhow. So I found it. That's how I found it. And I came and I listened and I came back.
So you have a family that is very diverse in your religious beliefs.
Yes, that's true.
Can you tell us a little bit about who is following which faith, I guess?
Okay. My growing up family, my family, Roman Catholic.
Mine too, actually.
Yeah. It seems a lot of Roman Catholics or Christians seek other avenues at some point. But my sister became an Episcopal priest, married an Episcopal priest, raised her children in that faith. My husband is Jewish, so I have a whole section of family that's Jewish. My brother obviously is Buddhist, and that's about it. I did not raise my children in an organized religion. Actually, for many years, I did not like the sense of an organized religion. I thought there was just too much hypocrisy in all of it, and didn't seek it out. But it was a little bit this and a little bit that in my philosophy of life and spiritual. But when I came to Ekoji and heard the Dharma message, it was like all the pieces came together. And so I've stayed.
Well, and how has that affected the interactions between you and your family members since then?
Not bad. I mean, it's not bad. My Jewish side of the family always asks questions. Mm-hmm. What do you do? Do you do this or that? More in the beginning, not anymore. They accept who I follow and or practice. And my husband thinks it's a cult. He thinks every religion is a cult. But he reads up on Buddhism, and we talk about it because he's very open-minded. But he doesn't even practice
Judaism. Yeah. My
mother was a little taken aback, but she knew I had been, at this point I'm early 50s, not telling the real age here. And she was a little, she kind of knew how I felt about things, that I didn't believe in a God, and I didn't have that. It seems to me there has to be this, the Christians and faith uses the word faith. A lot. And it's like, it's just, that's it, which is sort of like accepting Amida Buddha, just in a way that it's you, it's part of the universe, but theirs is a little bit different, it's more supreme being, other things like that. So my mother kind of knew where I stood.
And was she very religious?
Yes,
okay.
She watched Mass every Sunday, although she didn't raise us very religious. We went to Catholic school all the way through high school, but at home, we didn't, say the rosary every Friday. We did not eat meat on Friday, but, there were certain things you did during Lent, this and that, and we never did that. And she never went to church with us, and my father never went to church with us because he was playing golf on Sunday mornings. But my mother accepted it very easily, and my sister was very supportive, very, very. We've had wonderful talks and the differences and things. But my children were different. Because I was so not organized religion, they were going like, "What are you doing?" And they're adults at this point, they're college age and older, and that was hard. My son still, I think, doesn't want to hear me talking about Buddhism. He doesn't like the idea of me being part of an organized religion, as he puts it. My daughter was like, "I don't get it." And I brought her a few times. And I brought my mother once, I think when I was being inducted onto the board. And my mother said to her, like, they were walking out, and Hannah was complaining and saying, "I just don't get this. Why is Mom doing this? Why would she all of a sudden find this thing in her life that's. And my mother turned to her and said, "Doesn't matter what you think." She said, "Your mother is happy, and she's found a place that makes her happy, and that's all that matters." And my daughter from that point on has just been wonderful about it. My son was still like, "Don't talk to me about it." I was probably a little heavy-handed in the beginning about Buddhism because you get so excited.
Enthusiastic.
Yes, you get so excited
share
about this new thing and all these pieces kind of falling into place for you.
And there's so many new things to learn.
Oh, and think about, and and it's like you think you have one little piece, and then you hear something else, and you go, "Oh, that's what that meant."
And then you find out later you're still wrong.
So I'm still wrong. And you still have to go on and keep searching and keep trying to understand. Yeah, it's been a wonderful experience, I think.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So what is your wish for Ekoji's future going forward?
Well, I've been involved with Ekoji pretty deeply for the last 12 years. I started out as managing the office as a volunteer. Then I was asked to be on the board, and I took on treasurer because no one ever wants to do that.
It's very labor intensive.
It's labor intensive, but I was in the office anyhow, so I could do all of that.
The organizational side of organized religion.
Yes, exactly. I love that side, actually, the administrative side of it. And we really needed somebody around more often. And then I just went from there. I was involved. I went to a National Buddhist Churches of America meeting as a representative of Ekoji, and really wanted to understand how BCA fits into Ekoji's life, and stayed with that for many years. Ended up on the finance committee of the national board, and also I was a delegate to the national board from the Eastern District. The Eastern District is a group of 6 temples over here on the East Coast, and we have our own little council. And we get together twice a year, and we have a small budget to help the temples and our ministers and keeping up with each other. And I became treasurer of that very quickly because no one would take it. And I'm still treasurer of that. And then I became president here at Ekoji in 2019 or 2018. I can't remember. I think it was 2019, the beginning of 19. Because I wasn't last year, and I had 2 years. So it must have been
2018. Yeah.
It's 18 and 19. And just to give an example how wonderful this temple is and how wonderful this community is and this board, more than halfway through, I broke my femur. Right up my leg. And I was out for 6 weeks. I was not walking. I was not going anywhere. I was on drugs because it was very painful. I have all this stuff in my leg. And the people on the board just stepped up and helped me continue to do what I was doing, which wasn't much at that for the first 6 weeks. And then my mother passed away shortly after that. And so that end of that year was not very good. But the next year it was pretty good. I really enjoyed being president, but I'm older, so it was time to pass to the next generation, and I think that's the important. So the wish for Ekoji is that we continue our community, that we, that no matter how many people are members or not, we are here. The Dharma is here, and that's the important piece. The building is an attachment. Doing the rituals are attachments, and they're important in terms of
cultivating those.
Yeah, very good. So I'm sure Ekoji will stay here for a very long time. It's just a wonderful group of people, and we keep growing. It's a very diverse group of people, which is amazing and wonderful. So
I think it does really add something.
It does. It really does. I've been to enough West Coast temples that are primarily all Japanese, and there is a really different flavor. They're very used to everything and the services and all of that. And here, people are a little familiar with the way the service goes from their past experiences, so you're kind of comfortable when you come in. And then you have, we've had wonderful ministers. They've each brought something different. And the Dharma it's really the Dharma that keeps us together, and our compassion and kindness to each other and living this life.
So you mentioned earlier that you drove by many times before coming in.
Even noticing it. I never noticed it. I mean, it was like, there's a saying sometimes that one of our ministers on the Eastern District says all the time. He says, we hide in plain sight because we're not like the mega churches. And and I just never.
And there's no focus on proselytization.
No. And I wasn't Googling for a Buddhist church. I mean, I didn't think I wasn't looking for any path or anything. It kind of fell into my lap. And but if people just want to experience something and are looking for a place that gives you everything you need, your values, it has morals, it has teachings, it's non-judgmental, it's not hierarchy, just come by. This temple is very open. It's very welcoming. People are out in the foyer before and after, and we always try to talk to new people. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. We're not monks in orange robes. We're very lay in that sense. And find Lakewood Lane off of Burke Lake near the Parkway, and you'll see our new sign. And we're the first driveway off, so I'm promoting here. I'm big on marketing.
Well, and if you're not actually physically in the area, you can always keep an eye on our website, ekoji.org, and you can participate in services and other activities virtually.
Online.
So
and that's
even
been
if you're
the
not
great
here,
thing. This temple has stepped up its outward reach, and it's been wonderful.
And even if you are in the area and you're just a little bit hesitant to come in person, you want to see what it's like first, that's also a wonderful opportunity to watch a service virtually online, and then you'll kind of know what to expect.
There's no commitment here. We have a beautiful garden. Just come and listen, meet us, think about it. I really wish I had found Ekoji in Buddhism, Shin Buddhism especially, when my children were growing up, because I did not raise them in a community like this or any other. Well, we were academics, and so there was a lot of academic community, which is totally different than a religious community. But I wish I had exposed my children more. They got all those values from me because I always considered myself a little bit Buddhist, and cause and effect I've always believed in. I've always believed in being as kind and as compassionate as you can be to other people and situations. So everything just fell into place. It just gave me more reason to think about how to be a better person, how to change my behaviors to make myself happier, and not, you get angry at your spouse and you just, now.
Oh, yeah.
You take a deep breath and you think, do I really want to get into this fight? How important is it for me to win this battle? And mostly it's nothing. Like,
right.
Why didn't you buy more cereal? Anyhow, that's
the big question.
It's a big question, yes, in my house.
One of our focuses on Ekoji is on the lived experiences of members, right. Laity, and how Buddhism has affected their lives. What impacts do you think Buddhism, both positive and negative, do you think that your Buddhist practice has had on your life?
I think it has made me calmer. I think I self-reflect, and that's very important. You just can't listen to the message and not look at yourself. You don't go anywhere at that point. You listen to the Dharma, you try to figure out how that affects you, and I think when you do that, it feeds out into other people, because that's who you are and they see that. I think mostly it's, is relationships can be very difficult at times. And just being able to have that philosophy of Buddhism and the tools that it gives you of that self-reflection and being kind and thinking about what the other person might be going through or what their response could be, you stop and you think, and you don't try to respond back in anger. You try to respond back positively, calmly, and concern. And that has been, I think, the best thing that I've learned.
Well, one of the things that I've found too is that since I started practicing, when I get upset with people, I'm much more inclined to think back to a time when, like, if I feel they did something wrong, I'm much more likely to think back to a time when I did something similar, and that's always uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think at this point I don't hold anything against anybody, and I've really not done that. I'm not a person who, in my whole life, I'll get mad at somebody, but I won't stay mad at them. It's like once it's over, and then you either apologize or you try to figure out what happens, and you go from there. And I think that's very important in life. I had a really bad experience with a very close friend of mine from here, actually, another Buddhist, and
that happens. We
does
fight
happen.
with each other sometimes.
Yeah, of course, we're human beings. I mean, how can we not? I mean, at times, but not. But this was a weird thing that happened, and I overheard her making not a very nice comment and saying something that was untrue to me to someone else. And I interrupted and said, I heard everything you said. And she was very embarrassed. And that was like on a Saturday morning. And it was actually over the phone. I called in, she was talking, she never hung up the phone. And so I hear, of course, this is a bad on me, sorry. I listened a little bit trying to say, shut the phone off,
Right.
And then I heard her mention my name. So, of course, being human, I listened a little bit. And it was a very short little thing. And that's when I said, I heard you. And she was very upset. And so the next day, I thought about it because I was hurt. I was very hurt because I thought we were good friends and we were close, and I thought, and anyhow, I walked in the next day and she was like waiting, and she just said, and I said, it's okay. It happened. It's in the past. You've apologized. There's really nothing more to do about it. I can stew, but it's not going to do me any good. And you're going to feel bad for a long time, and it's okay. It's fine. We're fine. And that was really helpful for me, to let that go and not hold on to it. And that's what I try to do, is let things go. We're about to move and leave the state, and then I have to let this place go. Not just the physical place. And that's very hard for me. But then I keep reminding myself that Ekoji will be here. It's a building, and it's the people inside and the Dharma that's important to me. And I'll watch on Zoom now and probably sit in on the discussions that happen after service, and be a member that way, be a virtual member. And I won't lose anything. I'll still be here, sort of, and I'll still get the Dharma. I'm going someplace where there is not a Shin Buddhist temple anywhere close. There is a group of Buddhists down in about an hour and a half away from where I'll be, but I don't think I'll be driving an hour and a half every week.
So you have been acting as a trustee here at Ekoji.
Yes, I took that role on last year. Being trustee keeps me not only involved, but a trustee of a temple is responsible for the long-term health of the temple. We don't really oversee anything. We don't vote on anything. But if a decision is made that may be detrimental to the temple, we would advise against it. We check the financial health. We make sure that that the temple is moving financially fine, because I'm sorry, folks, you need money to keep a temple open, to be able to hear and to be part of this wonderful religion. And so we have to keep our doors open, and we have to spend money, and so a trustee does that. And it makes me feel connected, that I can always do the meetings on Zoom that work beautifully. I think we have better board meetings on Zoom than we ever did in person, because we all tend not to talk all the time. So being a trustee is important to me. I really want to make sure this temple is here and I'm part of it. When I die, I hope I'll have a space in the columbarium, or the Nikotsudo that we have for myself and my husband and my brother. My children won't do that, but I will, unless my husband wants to be scattered someplace else. But yeah, that's important too. So I want to always be part.
Thank you so much, Jane, for sharing your experiences with us and for continuing to serve Ekoji. Thank you to our listeners for your continued support. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Keep an eye out for our next episode coming towards the end of November. And for programs and activities happening here at Ekoji Buddhist Temple, please visit our website at ekoji.org. If you're not in the greater DC area, we do have quite a few virtual programs available as well. So make sure you go over and visit our website and see what's going on.